How do you go with spice?
Yeah, pretty good, mate.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm okay with it.
All right.
Is that a warning?
No, I just know you're from Liverpool, and
The spiciest
I
thing
don't
about
want you choking on the floor at the start of our meeting.
What are we making today?
So I thought we would do something with some really seasonal fish. At the moment, this Hiramasa kingfish is delicious. You can see how much fat content it's got through the belly.
Yeah.
Because the fish is at a stage of the year where it's working hard against bigger currents, and it's looking to get it on and mate. So this thing is amazing right now. I don't want to do too much with it, so I'm going to get you to do.
Yep.
Is cut down here, because we're going to use the loin for one preparation today, and then tomorrow I'm going to use the belly on another dish, a traditional Japanese breakfast that we do here.
Okay.
But your job for now, we just want to remove that loin, and then we're going to take the skin off.
Yep.
And then we'll get to the next bit then. And while you're doing that, I'm going to work on the vegetables that go with this salad, which is a couple of types of daikon. This is some Mizuna lettuce. I got it easy. I'm giving you all the hard work today.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust in me, especially because the belly is going to be used for tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is for people that will have no idea that my hands have touched their food. So.
No, neither of us are very professional. So yeah, shall we begin? Yeah. So Rising Sun Workshops, I guess, broadly speaking, made up of three parties. There's myself, more on food, Dan Cesarano, more on the bar and the coffee side, and then Dan's brother-in-law Adrian and his partner Helena. For us, it was about creating a commercial enterprise, which is the restaurant, that supports a social enterprise, which in this iteration is a motorcycle workshop where men and women can come and for a subsidised amount of money, an affordable sum of money, can access space and tools. And then with Sydney property prices being what they are, we're living in smaller and smaller places. Even the idea of servicing a motorcycle when you live in a Chippendale apartment is out of the question. So what would happen if we gave people that opportunity? And there was an old servo that's been abandoned on King Street for many years. It's like an Art Deco period service station. It was called the Rising Sun Service Station, and it was one of the first properties that the guys went and had a look at. And it fell through. But the working title, while that property was in the mix, was what are we going to do about Rising Sun? And so to make this manageable, your next step, right?
Yeah.
This is a mixture of chilies and sesame and hemp and citrus and all sorts. It's called Shichimi Togarashi, which is like 7 flavoured spice.
And that's from Woolworths, or?
Yeah. Absolutely. Get that at your local 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So you're going to roll these pieces of loin in there, really like all over, so it's all covered. And start rolling that here, and then we're going to get you on the blowtorch.
It's
good fun. What we're doing is making a tataki, which is, we're essentially going to keep the fish raw.
Yeah. I've just felt a bone in this, by the way.
Bloody hell. To your left there, there's a blowtorch. What, you know how to do him?
I never used the blowtorch. I wasn't fancy enough.
Now we're giving it smoke, and this is kind of like the Rising Sun Workshop twist on a straight tataki, where we would probably just maybe a touch of oil, maybe a little salt, and then just a sear.
Yeah.
To leave the centre raw, but it seems like an opportunity to introduce flavour.
Yeah.
And we can give it this kind of spicy, burnt, smoky crunch on the outside.
Also, you can play with fire, which we were kind of taught to as a kid, I guess.
That's right. And how cool do you feel right now?
I feel as cool as Nick Smith.
The Japanese thing's kind of all accidental. My son had just turned 1 And I had a housewarming at the house and decided that we'd have people over and I'd cook noodles.
Yeah.
And because of the long life, kind of the longevity of the noodle in Eastern ideas. And that went over really well. And I thought that that was something that we could kind of bring into a 2-month pop-up, which actually ended up being 6 months, and somewhat surprisingly kind of blew up and got picked up in the media, picked up in the local neighbourhood, and we became stuck with ramen. And so then bringing ramen across to a permanent space like this meant that Japanese influence was again going to further influence everything that sort of sat around it on the menu. Yeah. Without being a Japanese restaurant, but there still has to be some cohesion between those ramen days and what is perhaps our future, which is a little more uncertain in terms of style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not uncertain. It's not shutting down.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, it's fine.
And what I want is 6 slices that are about, I don't know, yay big. What's that? 2 millimeters? 3 millimeters? Skinnier.
Skinnier?
Yeah.
The magic of the kiwi knife will...
The kiwi, a brand new kiwi is going
to... cut through anything. So what have we got?
Yeah, this is a dressing that we make from 3 Japanese citrus fruits. Yuzu you've heard before.
Yep.
And then we have 2 others which maybe you haven't heard. There's one like a grapefruit which is called suboso, and then a... What's the other one called, Jay? Kabusu or something? Let me get that right.
Okay. Just if you look at the camera and just go, and then we can get it in post.
I'll do that.
And it'll just be something like
always forget
lemon.
That's it. And so we got that. We got some white soy sauce in here, which is like a first pressing of soy sauce.
I didn't even know it came in white.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I separated them and dressed the fish first is because then while I'm kind of going around and getting everything else done, this is going to slightly cure the fish and firm it up a touch, which should give us a better mouthfeel. And then the last thing is a little bit of this mizuna, which is a Japanese leaf.
Yep.
It's kind of fresh and juicy. Need a little flaky salt. Yeah, and I like to... There is lemon at the end, which is some zest.
I knew it.
And always, or just about always, a tiny bit more olive oil.
Yeah.
And that's there's the dish.
Hectic.
Right.
What's the official name for this dish?
I think we call this kingfish tataki salad.
Okay.
With 3 citrus dressing.
That's all on the menu?
Yeah, I don't know.
Great. It's good you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? We've been open here almost 6 years. 6 years in July. I think in my way, I'm now really interested in helping the hospitality industry succeed, because it's been dealt some really heavy blows, and it's getting really, really difficult to find fresh legs to sort of carry the torch forward. I've always been really passionate about not settling in my hospitality career, that is, and now I want to find younger, fresher than me, and try and nurture that in this little incubator.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's like 3 ideas really. Inside is the ajitsuke tamago, which is the ramen egg, and then around the outside is the sakune, which is a Japanese chicken meatball, and then we've crumbed that like a la Scotch egg.
Yep.
And so I'm going to chuck that in the deep fry for a few minutes while we shuck these guys.
Some oysters.
Yeah. How do you go with the shucker?
We'll find out, I guess. You guys got triple O on the ready.
I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
I can stab myself.
A firmer grip, I think, Graeme.
Like that?
Yeah. And then twist and wiggle, twist and
Twist and wiggle.
Toe. Yay! Oh, you really did nearly stab yourself in the palm, though.
That was so close. Oh, okay.
I think we've done something that even if we were to walk away from, there's still going to be a page in Sydney's little, roadmap that Rising Sun Workshop has made a mark at some point, and is now a reference point for something more. So I think that's success.
Yeah.
One of the briefs for me anyway was that we were open for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for any occasion, and I think at times we hit that note.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's in our DNA, that there's a giving back and that there's a learning from it.
Yeah.
But so we make all of our own kimchi in house.
Yeah.
And at the end, at the bottom of the fermentation vessel, you've got all of this runoff, all of this kind of like cabbagey, spicy, garlicky, chili brine,
Yeah.
which we didn't have a use for, but I started squeezing it on oysters, and it kind of feels like, to me, a milder, more natural Tabasco sauce.
Yeah.
Geez, you're not shy. All right, that's fun.
Is that too much?
As you feel.
I feel that's good.
So here's our Scotch egg, and look at that timing, just as we finished.
Everyone will think it's edited for TV, but
That was real. That was
yeah.
real. This is a type of Japanese barbecue sauce called tonkotsu sauce,
Yep.
or bulldog sauce. It was actually your lot, the English, when they moved to Japan, and they wanted their HP, and the Japanese were like, well, we'll have to just make some.
I apologise for my people.
Hey, look, we made 3 dishes.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's brunch.